Welcome back to CVM Live. It's now time for our major stories in detail. In light of the Supreme Court nullifying the election of Dean Jones as JLP Councillor of the Yalas Division, after it was found he was a public servant at the time of the 2016 elections, a by-election date has been called. CVM Live's Khadija Thomas has this report.
Following the court ruling on Tuesday, the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development decided to have the by-election within the shortest period, as ordered by Justice Brian Sykes. The announcement of the dates was made by Mayor of Morant Bay, Lenworth Rawle.
The nomination day for election in the Yalas Division is April 10th, and the election day is April 27th.
Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie says they have now fulfilled the obligation as required by law for the holding of the election for the Yalas Division, as there appeared to be an attempt to hijack the administration of the municipal corporation.
While we will welcome any attempt by anyone to seek to gain political advantage and to strengthen one's position, we must also be guided by the principles that exist. And those principles can only be manifested in the ballot box.
Despite there also being vacancies in the Homestead Division in St. Catherine and Maypen North Central in Clarendon, the minister says the primary focus had been on St. Thomas.
Before the court ruling, the standings were 5 GLP, 5 PNP. And the ruling of the courts have now created a vacancy within the municipal cooperation.
Khadija Thomas, CVM Live.
There was some contention in the Senate today as Minister of Education Senator Ruel Reid and Senator Lambert Brown traded barbs regarding the unemployment rate. CVM Live's Joel Croskill tells us more.
Opposition Senator Lambert Brown accused Senator Ruel Reid of misleading the Senate with his assertions about Jamaica experiencing its lowest unemployment rate in recent history.
This is the first time that unemployment has fallen below 11% in 10 years.
Mr. President, point of order, Mr. President. Mr. President, point of order.
Thank you, Senator Reid. Yes, Senator Brown.
The Honourable Minister is misleading the Senate.
Senator Brown had the opportunity to complete his statement during his own presentation.
This is your book, government book, signed by Mr. Audley Shaw, and it shows that in 2017 unemployment is 11.7%. That's what that Dan Webby just said is the lowest since 2008. And he's right. Because 2008 was under you. But 2005 was under Portia Simpson Miller, was under PJ. That was 11.2% unemployment. 2006 under Portia Simpson Miller, 10.3%. That was unemployment. Lower than you have it now.
Senator Reid also spoke on the reduction of debt servicing as a percentage of total expenditure.
The central government expenditure is programmed at a total of $807.1 billion. Of this sum, $773.7 billion will be funded from the consolidated fund and another $33.4 billion from appropriations in aid. Of that consolidated fund, the public debt service amounts to $289 billion, which is $89 billion less than was spent on debt servicing for the last fiscal year.
It represents 23.7% less in debt service payment compared to last year. Joel Croskill, CVM Live.
The North-South Highway is soon to be named after a former Prime Minister who has dedicated years of service to the governance of Jamaica. CVM Live's Khadija Thomas has this story.
An announcement that came as a surprise to many in attendance, but was met with approval when Prime Minister Andrew Holness made this declaration.
The Cabinet on Monday approved a submission to name the North-South Highway in honor of former Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Edward Philip George Seaga.
Prime Minister Holness, who was speaking at the rededication of the Bustamante Museum, says former Prime Minister Seaga has played an integral role in contributing to national development.
Edward Seaga was responsible for the development of downtown Kingston. He was also integral, initiated the development and expansion of Ocho Rios as a tourism destination. The North-South Highway creates that link. And so it is only fitting that today I have this great honor, distinct pleasure of announcing the naming of the North-South Highway in honor of a man who has also dedicated so much of his life to building Jamaica.
Prime Minister Holness also lauded the work of the late Right Honorable Sir Alexander Bustamante, saying the museum now represents an important era in our history. Khadija Thomas, CVM Live.
A St. Elizabeth family has been plunged into mourning following the brutal killing of 23-year-old Yashika Smith, otherwise known as Rochelle, on Wednesday night. More from our reporter Nicole Wilson.
A 2-year-old is now without a mother following the murder of 23-year-old Yashika Smith of Park District, Santa Cruz, St. Elizabeth. Reports are that another tenant of the house was alerted by Smith's daughter that something was wrong. The tenant went to investigate and saw Smith lying face down with a large wound to the throat. The police were subsequently alerted. Her mother, Michelle Ferguson, said she was at a shop when she got a call with the bad news.
Tell me what is going on. The person said, no, you sit down good. I said, yes, I sit down good. And he said to me, say, you sure you sit down good? Me say, yes, man. And he said to me, say, you not hear what happened? I said, no. And he said to me, say, if me tell you, might be I go drop them. I said, no, me not drop them. Just tell me what happened. And he said to me, say, somebody called him and tell him to then cut my daughter's throat.
Soon after, she made her way to the scene where she saw a crowd, but her daughter's body was already removed. The mother-in-law of the deceased has not taken the news of her passing well.
I hear that they cut her throat. I feel it so much because that girl is such a nice girl to me. She always be around me in Black River. Take her to church with me. Oh God, man, this is a pain to my heart tonight to hear that they kill Rochelle. Oh God, I can't tell you.
She said she spoke with Yashika earlier that day.
She called me today and said the baby wanted to talk to me from yesterday, but she didn't have any credit. So she said she just got a credit a while ago, so she just called me to tell me that the baby wanted to talk to me. And the baby to the grandma and, you know, talking to me. And she talked to me and said, Miss Jenny, I'll soon come and see you.
The circumstances surrounding her death are not clear. Meanwhile, the St. Elizabeth police are investigating the matter. Nicole Wilson, CVM Live.
Jamaica could, in a matter of 3 to 10 years, have its own exploratory well dug if the findings of a 3D seismic survey being conducted to find oil and gas off the south coast of Jamaica proves worthwhile. CVM Live's Nika Lewis tells us more about the latest efforts to find gas and oil reservoirs.
Jamaica, the island of wood and water, and hopefully oil and gas in the near future. The government has embarked on a quest to find the much-needed fuel sources. To this end, the Polarcus Adira is now in Jamaican waters to carry out 3D seismic surveys for oil and gas. The vessel, which is a state-of-the-art 3D seismic survey vessel, will, under the direction of Tullow Oil, a marine geophysical company, gather detailed information over a 2,250 square kilometer area within the Walton Morant block south of Jamaica over an estimated 50 to 60 days. The survey will seek to determine the direction of the Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica's oil and gas exploration program.
We're going to do an interesting survey of Jamaica, And just had a visit now from a group of 25 people from Jamaica. One is the minister, and I've showed them around on the bridge and through the vessel, instrument room, seismic equipment, what we're actually doing here. We are a crew of 50, 60 people on board. We are from all over the world, 15, 16 different nationalities. And this is what we do for a living. We are, you can say we are looking for oil and gas. I really hope we find something here in Jamaica.
The vessel, which is expected to not only generate detailed 3D images of rock layers beneath the sea floor and provide ample data for analysis for potential oil and gas reservoirs, is also expected to be minimally invasive to the environment.
This is nothing new for us. We do this every day around the world, and but kind of special here in Jamaica, since you haven't done, this is the first 3D survey, which we will go out here and do here now.
In a statement from Energy Minister Dr. Andrew Wheatley, he said this was a historic moment for Jamaica, as all the government's efforts to move gas and oil exploration forward are finally paying off. Nika Lewis, CVM Live.
And in a CVM Live update, the woman suspected to be behind a travel scam in Manchester last month, Keisha Forbes, has been offered bail. CVM Live's Nicole Wilson has our update.
These were the scenes at the Manchester Parish Court on Wednesday. The woman dressed in the red, orange and white floral dress, Keisha Forbes, is alleged to be at the heart of what appears to be a travel scam in Manchester, which came to light last month. Miss Forbes, who made her first appearance in court on Wednesday, was offered bail in the sum of $200,000 with 1 or 2 sureties. The bail also has reporting conditions. Last month, several residents from Manchester said they were asked to pay $75,000 to get permits to work in the United States. They allege that Miss Forbes arranged to pick them up in 3 Mile St. Andrew to take them to have their passports stamped at the U.S. Embassy. They say she didn't show up and that after calls to her phone went unanswered, they made a report to the police. She's set to appear before the courts again on April 26. Nicole Wilson, CVM Live.
Jamaica will be launching its partnership with the United Nations Global Blue Heart campaign against human trafficking in stepping up the fight against the oppressive crime. CVM Live's Khadija Thomas has more.
There are more people in slavery today than there were when slavery was legal. Words spoken by the permanent secretary at the Ministry of Justice, which reveal the harsh reality and evidence of human trafficking being a global concern.
Despite the sustained effort across jurisdictions, the evidence of even stronger collaboration amongst law enforcement agencies at the international level, and the growing number of voices that are powerful and influential, there is evidence that traffickers are finding new and ingenious, and I dare say innovative ways to continue their illegal activities.
The permanent secretary, Carol Palmer, was speaking at a press briefing on the Blue Heart campaign, which is a global awareness initiative by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime to fight human trafficking and its impact on society.
Only Wednesday night, I learned that in another jurisdiction, there is a place that the courts have been sending, the courts of that country have been sending victims, mostly young girls, as a safe haven, only for the courts to be now learning that they are being trafficked from the very location.
The main launch of the Blue Heart campaign will take place on Wednesday, March 28 at Emancipation Park at 5 p.m. and the St. William Grant Park and the Rudolph Elder Park in Morant Bay, St. Thomas at 5:30 p.m. A declaration will be read at all locations in signifying Jamaica's formal adoption of the campaign, and blue lights will be turned on at all 3 locations at 6 p.m. Khadija Thomas, CVM Live.
You're watching Major Stories. Now time to go overseas for regional and international news with our reporter, Nicole Wilson.
In Antigua and Barbuda, an expanded Gaston Brown cabinet has been sworn in following the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party's landslide victory at Wednesday's general election. Among the new faces is Brown's wife, Maria Bird Brown, who successfully contested the St. John's Rural East seat once held by her uncle, Sir Lester Bird. The Prime Minister will retain the finance portfolio within the 13-member cabinet. And in Trinidad and Tobago, the suspect in the quadruple La Brea homicides has been shown CCTV footage which has placed him in La Brea on the day of the killings. The suspect's attorney, Farid Ali, said that his client being shown the footage does not tie him to their deaths. The 38-year-old suspect was detained by police in Valencia on Sunday. He has been questioned by detectives who this week showed him the CCTV footage. The bodies of secondary school teacher Abigail Jones Chapman, her daughter Olivia, Olivia's friend Michaela Mason, and retired teacher Michael Scott were found dead on March 13. And in Barbados, the executive councils of the island's two main trade unions will have to meet and decide the next step after receiving correspondence that there will be no negotiations on salary increases for civil servants. The Barbados Workers Union, BWU, was told the request for a 15% salary increase could not be approved at this time. The letter from the Ministry of Civil Service, signed by Permanent Secretary Alison Fort, informed the unions the prevailing economic conditions do not permit a general increase in the emoluments for public servants, including one-off payments. Civil servants had not had a salary increase for almost 10 years. And on the international scene, Syrian state television is reporting that rebels have agreed to surrender in a second area in eastern Ghouta. Al Jazeera has more in this report.
There is no ceasefire here. The pro-government alliance is bombing Douma into submission. The densely populated town in the northern pocket of the now divided eastern Ghouta enclave is controlled by the rebel faction, Jaish al-Islam. The Russian military and the Syrian government want the rebels to surrender. Negotiations have stalled.
Douma in particular demonstrates that there is still ongoing, very active and violent hostilities, and people continue to be displaced. There's really no safe place in a lot of these areas at this point. Families report that they've been sheltering in underground shelters, in basements that even have not been able to be limited from the violence.
Those were the top regional and international stories on Friday. I am Nicole Wilson. Good evening.
Well, those were our major stories. Stick around for News Live in 5 later in the program with Joel Croskill. So there's increasing talk about a cabinet shuffle. What are the expectations and the implications? To examine this, we'll be joined by independent political analyst Christopher Layla Jr. and General Secretary of the PNPYO, Dexroy Martin. That's our panel discussion right after.